All right, Jack, first episode.
Oh, gosh, darn it, here we are.
We're recording. Hey, everybody. I'm Austin.
I'm Jack.
Yep, that's Jack. I was going to introduce him, but he just decided to speak for himself.
Oh, sorry. Okay.
You're not allowed to speak on your own. Okay.
Well, this is a one-man podcast now. I will just be sitting back, relaxing, enjoying some coffee.
They don't even know who we are yet, Jack.
Well, I'm just giving them the play-by-play.
Okay, all right.
The future play-by-play.
Oh, we should probably mention who we are. Hi, guys. We're Coffee and Commoners. This is a new show we're doing, kind of based around D&D.
D&D and the madness that pours forth from our heads. Think of us like Athena from Zeus's skull, in a manner of speaking. For those of you that know your Greek mythology.
That sounds horrendous.
It does, but you know what? I'm going with it anyway.
Okay, all right. Okay, so what this is our decision to add our voice to the hubbub around D&D because we think our opinions matter.
Well, at least they may be interesting takes. Who knows?
Yeah.
That's for you to decide.
Yeah. But this little show here, Jack and I have decided we're going to sit down and drink coffee every couple days and talk about something D&D related. Yeah, that's basically the format of the show.
Yeah?
Just hot takes over hot coffee.
But what if we have iced coffee? So maybe we have cold takes? That's different from cold cuts, right? It was bad to record this before having lunch. I'm hungry. I'm sorry. Listen, okay. I'm supposed to be the funny one. You're supposed to be the serious one.
I'm the one that did all the planning for this. I didn't start the timestamp.
That's fine.
It's fine.
We're fine.
It's chaos over here.
Yes, it is.
Maybe people will like this chaos. Who knows? So yeah, Jack and I have both been playing D&D for about, what is it, like almost 4 or 5 years now or something.
Our joined longest campaign is 4 years come November. I have played a couple times before then, going back a few years, so I've been doing D&D-ish style things for about 6 or so, depending on what you want to count.
I think I started reading the Player's Handbook, a copy that my friend had, all the way back circa 2016.
Whoa,
but like we never did anything because I was so confused by it. And then miraculously, when we all decided to play D&D together, our current group, suddenly everything made sense. That was basically how I started with D&D. But now I'm an experienced player if you count only 4 years of an active game as experience. And
any game time is experience.
Yeah, and an attempted game master, dungeon master, whatever you want to call it.
Oh, it's been more than an attempt.
Yeah, it has been attempted. It can't be attempted for more than a month at a time before something goes wrong. But
such is the way of life, my friend.
So how this is going to work is Jack and I are obviously going to sit down, talk a little bit about what we're drinking, then we're going to talk a little bit about a monster of the day. That's what we're going to do every episode, and then we're going to get into a topic of the day and just discuss that for a little while, our hot takes. At some point, we will take community suggestions. If any of you fans are out there, we hope you're out there.
Well, this is only episode 1. We got to gather them up first.
Yeah. I feel like we're cult leaders.
I mean,
we're attempting to start a cult. That's what it is.
Isn't that how this always goes? We take a rope, tie it around people, we drag them along with us, say, hey, you're going to listen to us for however long this goes on for.
Yeah.
30 minutes, 60 minutes, who knows?
Starting with our friends and family, we're going to rope them into this. And then, I mean, if you think about it too, D&D is historically been miscategorized as cultish. And they all were true. They were like, D&D is the devil, and it's just like, I can fight the devil in D&D. If anything, it's anti-Satan.
Exactly.
Yeah. I can fight Asmodeus. I mean, I can. I probably won't succeed.
Certainly not right off the bat.
Yeah. Coffee. That's what we're here for. Coffee.
That's
D&D.
supposed to be at the start.
Okay, yeah.
We'll try to save the ramblings for later. If we actually manage that, we'll find out.
Okay.
If you enjoy the rambling, let us know.
Right. Yeah.
For now, we're going to attempt to stick to the topic. And with any luck, we'll get to the location that we're going in one piece. Execute travel montage.
Ba-da-ba-da. I don't know why I went with the, that's like the start of the Family Feud theme. I can't.
Da-dun-da-dun,
Please don't sue us, Steve Harvey.
da-dun-da-dun. No, that's a different show, I think.
Steve Harvey's Family Feud.
The music cue I was doing.
Oh,
you're fine.
okay, never mind.
You're fine.
Okay.
I'm the idiot here.
Okay. All right. Hey, Jack, what are we drinking today?
Today we are nothing super special. It is ground Pete's coffee. It is a dark roast, specifically an organic French roast. It is coffee forward, smoky, bittersweet, with hints of caramel. Hopefully, it lives up to the hype.
Yeah. Here's another clarifying thing. We're not sponsored by any of these. This is just coffee that we have in our pantries.
Yes.
That we like.
Technically, this is a month away from being past due. I don't drink it that often.
If there's no episode 2 or 3, then you know that we died from this coffee.
If I accidentally poisoned us, I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
But
here goes nothing.
first sip.
I don't think the microphone can hear us sipping, but it's fine.
Oh, that's fine.
Yeah. Another thing, if the audio quality is bad, I apologize, because right now don't have a lot of the budget for good equipment. So instead, we're just recording this with the minimal tools that we have available to us.
Work with what you got.
Yeah, exactly.
Step by step.
Yeah.
You gotta build the brand.
Okay, back to the coffee.
Yes.
Here's another thing too. Sorry. Before Jack's the coffee guy here. I'm not a big coffee connoisseur or anything like that. I don't think either of us are. It's just you own a lot of coffee, different kinds.
I do have a modest variety. I have a larger tea collection, but I do enjoy a good coffee, a good iced coffee.
Yeah, the other thing is this name is misleading. We're not always going to be drinking coffee. Sometimes we'll have tea. Sometimes we'll have, smoothies.
Yeah,
Something
I mean,
like that.
Coffee and Commoners just sounds like a better name.
Yeah,
you know?
we're playing off of the what is it, the
Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah, Dungeons and Dragons. The alliteration. That's the term.
Yeah.
The alliteration of Dungeons and Dragons. You know,
Coffee and Commoners is the CO, the ca.
caca. You just called our show poop, Jack.
Well, at this point, it might be. I don't know.
All right.
Depends on our listeners' views.
We keep getting off track. What do we think of the coffee, Jack? What do you think?
Seeing as I drink coffee more than you, I'm interested to hear what you think. Lip smacking? He's considering. He's thinking.
It tastes better than my normal coffee.
Well, what's your normal coffee?
It's literally Folgers. it's just...
All right. Well,
Yeah.
it's the workhorse coffee.
Yeah.
He's good for making large quantities.
Yeah, I drink like regular Folgers in the morning before I go to work.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
it's not anything too luxurious.
You go out for Starbucks? Do you do that? Big Starbucks guy?
Not very often.
No.
No.
Support your local coffee house is what we're trying to say.
Yeah.
When you can, if you can.
Go to Starbucks when you need something fast. Go to your local coffee house when you want to chill out and enjoy
Oh, yes. Yes,
Like-
indeed.
a good cup of coffee. That's not to say that Starbucks is bad. I like some of Starbucks's coffee choices. There's some stuff, because we have barista friends
Oh,
that
yes,
I
yeah.
know I will never try because of their recommendation.
We do have many a barista friend.
My opinion about the coffee.
Yes.
It is definitely better than my regular
Better than your
morning,
Folgers?
Yeah, regular morning cup of Joe. A little stronger. It feels a little more nutty, I guess.
Little nutty? you
Yeah.
say? Well, I mean, it is supposed to be smoky and bittersweet. Now, I'm not a super big fan of dark roasts. This is fine. I'll drink this. This is not my preferred coffee. We got this for when we had family visiting. And my mother did not know where I kept the coffee grounds, so she went and got some, and this is what she got. And I'm sorry for subjecting you to it, but it's decent.
It's not
decent.
bad. I mean, I'm not keeling over from the expiration date. So
That's good. I mean, Yeah.
Sorry. Just died there, folks. This is Austin's ghost now.
Oh, God. It's Jack and the Ghost.
It's Jack and the Ghost.
You know, if you say that too quick. Anyways, moving on.
I mean, isn't that... This is a PG-13 podcast.
Yes, that's something else we wanted to cover. PG-13. We try not to go too far into the R. Mm-hmm. Hopefully.
If we go too far into the R, we'll do a quick,
disclaimer
or whatever. Or we'll cut ourselves off. And we'll do, a little, experiencing technical difficulties cutaway.
Yes, we'll bleep it all out.
Yeah, like this.
The cat is rubbing up.
Oh, yes. Okay. We're doing this at... we're just doing this at our houses. Currently, we're at my home, where I have 2 cats. Conveniently named after D&D characters. I have a tiny little girl cat. I say tiny, but she's petite in terms of, size compared to the other cat, but she's, kind of overweight. We're not sure how to get her to lose that weight. But her name is Tiamat. We call her Tia for short, but her name's Tiamat. And,
Queen of the household.
Yeah, she's Queen of the Dragons. She gets whatever she wants. And we wanted to, because we adopted them as a pair from, also, always, adopt, don't shop. Don't do that. Always go to your local humane society or something like that to get your animals. Because there's animals there that may have been surrendered and need rehoming, or rescues. The other cat that is here with us now, actually, his name is Fizbin. He is a little troublemaker. He's actually a year younger than Tia, but we adopted them together at the Oceanside Humane Society here in California.
We are so far off topic.
I know. We got to talk about the cats. Anyways, we got Fizbin and Tiamat together because they were a bonded pair. They lived in the same household for a while. They're not related. They're not from the same litter. But Fizbin is the younger one, but he's big and kind of muscular. He's a muscular cat. We call him a wild cat sometimes. And I know people are thinking, why'd you name him Fizbin when the other one's named Tiamat? Well, the thing is that Fizbin and Bahamut are the same character, and Bahamut's on, the same level as Tiamat. But the thing was we didn't like the sound of Tiamat and Bahamut together. So we chose Fizbin, especially because we can say Fizz for short. Jack, you also have pets.
I have one pet. This is a singular little pup. She is a little old lady.
Yeah.
Little tiny Cavalier King Charles Spaniel. Oh, I think she's about 16 at this point. She's getting up there in age.
Yeah.
But darling little house dog.
Yeah. We love her. We always love going over there and seeing her when we're playing D&D. Oh, by the way, Fizbin and Tiamat they're both orange cats. They're the sweetest things in the world. Always get orange cats. I mean, that's my preference anyways. If you get a black cat or calico or something like that, or even a tomcat, they're all good pets. Orange cats are just especially sweet and stupid. So, however, they are troublemakers. Oh, look at you, Fizbin. You guys can't see him right now. We'll have video at some point so we can show off our pets. Anywho, we've gotten through the coffee portion of the episode and rambled a bit about our lives and who we are and our pets. So, I think we should actually get into the content, Jack.
What do you say? Content.
Content.
I'm always down for content. You down for content?
I'm down for content. Fizbin, you down for content, bud?
I think that little merb was a sign of yes.
He squeaked. Yeah.
He squeaked.
Yeah.
He squeaked.
All right. So, the next portion of the show is Monster of the Day. So, Jack, what's our Monster of the Day today?
Monster of the Day is, drumroll please, the Nightmare, found in the Monster Manual on page 235. It is a large, neutral evil fiend.
Mm-hmm. All right. What are some things we can know about the Nightmare, Jack?
Well, if we're taking a look at the stat block here, it has an armor class of 13, that is natural armor. It has a hit point total of 68.
How many hit die is that?
8d10 plus 24.
Always remember the plus, people.
Oh, yes. Never forget the plus. And, of course, its speed is 60 feet, but it does have a fly speed of 90.
90 feet? Yeah.
90 feet total.
All right. Well, I guess it's safe to say that this thing should always be flying instead
Probably, unless it's going down to attack whoever it may be preying upon.
Right.
Going down the list here, strength of 18.
Ooh, okay.
Modifier of a +4. It's got a dex of 15. Modifier of a +2.
Okay.
Constitution of 16.
Constitution is always important. It's the lifeblood of our country.
Well, maybe here in the United States of America, good sir. But with that 16 Constitution, it has a modifier of +3. Its intelligence, a little low, is only a 10.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not low per se. That's average, right in the middle. No modifier there. Wisdom of 13 for a +1 modifier. And finally, its charisma is 15, giving it a +2 modifier in total. Those are the stats. Once again, 18 strength, 15 dexterity, 16 constitution, 10 intelligence, 13 wisdom, and 15 charisma.
Fizbin likes that. Yeah. All right. What else can we learn from this thing, Jack?
Well, if we take a look at the next set of attributes here, it has damage immunity to fire, a passive perception of 11, and in terms of what it can understand but can't speak, it's going to be 3 languages: abyssal, infernal, and of course, common.
Okay.
Now, this creature is a challenge rating of 3. Do you want to talk a little bit about challenge rating?
I think challenge rating is bullshit. It's a bad scale. It doesn't work, or at least it needs to be revamped. Because in 5e, it might have worked at the beginning of 5e when the original Player's Handbook was published in 2014. But I think the challenge rating thing has kind of... I know it's like the way they describe it is it talks about
You just nibbled on me.
Oh, Fizbin does that.
Okay.
He does that when he wants attention.
Well, he was getting attention. Now he's not going to get any.
Calm down, bud. I know that it's supposed to be a scale for a party of 4 for a certain level, but I think that most groups end up being more than that, or have more power or action economy than what you think. Because I'm not saying that combat needs to last forever or something like that, but I don't want monsters to die in the first 3 or 4 rounds. I'd like it to burn for a little longer.
Yeah, depending on what kind of an encounter you have going on.
Yeah.
That does also play into it. I think, it's a fair way to approximate. Of course, every party is different. Some parties roll magnificently well. Others suck. I think you and I have had experiences with both of those types of party players.
I'm the kind of player that sucks at rolling, usually. I just have bad luck. But I'm also the kind of player... I'm also the kind of DM that sucks at rolling. The bad luck extends into my... That's why I find it so hard to kill you guys on my campaign.
Yes, he is a little murderous, but we love him for it.
I'm forgiving sometimes. Anyway, back to the nightmare.
Yes.
What else can it do? What's it got?
Well, dropping down a little lower in the stat block, if we take a look at its traits, it has the trait Confer Fire Resistance. The nightmare can grant resistance to fire damage to anyone riding it. That's trait number 1. Trait number 2 here is Illumination. The nightmare sheds bright light in a 10-foot radius and a dim light for an additional 10 feet. So those 2 traits giving it a burning glow, a clear resistance to fire, as it is, of course, a fiend.
Comes straight out of the hells.
That it does, appearing in a cloud of roiling smoke, its mane, tail, and hooves wreathed in flame. Its unearthly black form moves with supernatural speed, vanishing in a cloud of brimstone as quickly as it appeared. That's my dramatic reading. Thank you all very much for listening.
Let us know in the comments if you think Jack should be a voice actor.
Oh God, I don't think I have enough strength within me to do it. I'm not as talented as those around me. You see, the English language is hard. I'm brought up in English, but I still have not yet mastered it. 26 years on this earth I've been practicing, and still I can't get it.
Back to the nightmare.
Back to the nightmare here.
This whole thing is a nightmare, but...
Hey, listen, man. Episode 1, we're figuring it out. Cut us some slack, okay?
Yep.
Going from its inherent traits down into the actions, the nightmare here has its hooves action. It is a melee weapon attack with a +6 to hit, a reach of 5, and it can only focus on one target. On a hit, it deals an average of 13 bludgeoning damage, plus an average of 7 fire damage. In total, it's 2d8 plus 4 bludgeoning and 2d6 fire. So it's a fair bit of damage. Again, it is a CR3, nothing too ridiculous, but nothing to laugh at either. Its secondary action here is Ethereal Stride. The nightmare and up to 3 willing creatures within 5 feet of it magically enter the ethereal plane from the material plane, or vice versa. So you do have that ability to go back and forth from those two planes. So
I feel like that's more of like a ghost thing, the material plane, because this thing is a fiend.
This is indeed a fiend.
Wouldn't it make more sense for it to transport itself through like the hells rather than through the material? The ethereal?
I mean, it depends on how you want to view planar travel in the setting. I mean, if you look at the ethereal plane as being a quote-unquote closer plane, it makes sense that if you're trying to just do this on the whim, if you're just sort of phase shifting, if you will, from one to the next, it's close, it's easier to get there, do it on a snap of a finger, there and back. Versus if you're trying to go to one of the hells, whichever layer it is you're thinking of, somewhere even deeper into the abyss, who knows?
Because I'm thinking like the hurl through hell thing that the warlocks get, the fiend warlock.
Oh, yes,
Because it's like, it could have a similar ability there.
It could. I mean, that's one way if you wanted to spice things up a little bit. You know, a monster nightmare. Just
because that thing says willing creature, right? So
yes,
it can't
this is
transport
3
enemies.
willing creatures. Yes.
If it had like something like, here's the other thing too, is we're going to talk about how like whether or not we like the monster, and also how we would like spice it up, or if we would run it ourselves or something as is or something like that. I think like if it was like a legendary nightmare, I'd give it that like hurl through hell ability where it can take like an unwilling creature of some sort, force it to make a saving throw, and then like transport it,
drag it on a fiery ride through hell and return around later.
Yeah, and give it like psychic damage, like 1,000,000 psychic damage. I have seen the unbelievable horrors of Gehenna.
I think 1,000,000 is perhaps a smidge too much, if I may be so bold as to say so. Something a little bit more, down to earth in terms of sheer damage numbers. Because I don't care how many resistances you have, 1,000,000 will kill you.
And oftentimes you don't get resistance to psychic damage. So.
Exactly. Except for you barbarians. Yeah.
Barbarians are the best class. Jack hates them for some reason.
It's because I can't kill them.
Jack also just hates, like, beefy classes in particular. And this extends to more than just D&D. You know what I'm talking about.
I don't actually.
Beefy classes in other games.
Beefy class. Oh, I understand where you're taking this now.
Yeah.
And here I thought you were making a reference to Divinity Original Sin 2. No, you're referring to video games.
I am. Well, Divinity is a video game.
Oh, goodness.
You dingus.
I mean, you see, when I think of Divinity, I don't think of that as a...
It's almost like a board game, honestly.
I always think of it more as an RPG than a video game, because, I mean, it is. I know it's a type of video game, but...
Larian Studios, sponsor us, please. I'm kidding. Don't do that. We're not begging for sponsors yet. We're not doing that. I just like Larian Studios and the games I make.
You and Baldur's Gate 3, huh?
That game needs to finish. It also needs to be fixed. It needs to be finished and fixed, but that's my opinion.
One step at a time.
Yeah.
We're talking about the nightmare.
The nightmare. Well, okay. If it was as is, I don't think I would run it. I think I would make a modification. Well, I would. I have used it.
Oh.
Because early on in the... I put it in a different setting other than the Hells. early on in my campaign, when you guys went to like the equivalent of the Shadowfell, the like skeletal steed things that were lurking there, those were stat block nightmares, and there was a chance he would fight them, but instead a giant lumbering chimera monstrosity came along and ripped one of its heads off and scattered the whole pack.
Oh, that was a while back.
Yeah, that was like very beginning of the campaign.
Yeah.
When we first started it.
I'm trying to remember if I've used these or not. I might have at one point a long time ago.
If you can remember any combat where you used a horse.
Well, you see...
Think about whether or not it was a nightmare.
I mean, you see, the thing that I do is I'll use the stat block of a nightmare, or I'll use the stat block of a bone golem or something, and I will call it something else. That way, if anybody knows the stat block, he won't know what I'm using.
Yeah.
It's sneaky like that.
Remember that one time recently in our campaign? This is just an example of like slight metagaming where I accidentally misspoke in a dragon encounter.
Ah, yes.
Because I meant to just say a Draco Lich because the dragon was undead.
Yes.
But the kicker was that it wasn't just a Draco Lich; it was a Great Worm that had been like revived.
I knew that there was going to be bad things coming our way.
The dragon had a name, and I meant to refer to it by its name, but then I accidentally said Great Worm, and then they were just like, I think you guys were like 13th level or something, and then all of you at the table were like, I'm sorry, what did you say? What was that?
Yes, because at that point, 3 of us were down to, I believe, 25% of our hit points within the first round. It was not going well for us. Our strategy changed from, take it on, to survive.
Yeah. Their survival tactic was to put it in an iron flask, which is a great magic item, but I kind of regret putting it. There's certain magic items that end up getting put in games because maybe as a DM, you think, this is cool. This is a thing that'll be interesting and it'll be fun to see how it works mechanically. But then like immediately after you get the regret of like, oh no, this didn't work as I intended, and now they're breaking the game. That was me with the iron flask. That was, I think it's funny how often you guys have used that because it is actually a pretty cool item, but like you put a dragon in the iron flask by transporting to another plane.
I mean, listen, if we need to survive, we'll do what we have to.
Yeah. Anyways, that's all we got for the nightmare, I think.
So, as it is, you've used it. Would you use it again, just in a lower level setting? Would you?
Probably.
Okay.
Like if it can, because like if it was like, the right setting, because I like Gothic D&D.
Does this fit your general like aesthetic that you like to go with?
Yeah, it feels like a ghost story sort of thing. So it is called a nightmare. Mm-hmm. So it feels like a ghost story, like there's a demon horse haunting the woods or something like that. So yeah. I think that definitely fits. I would probably use it in a lower level setting whenever I decide to run another game at a lower level.
Even in a higher level campaign setting, would you potentially use these as, the minion stat block? If the right
grunts?
Type?
Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Okay. I do like the theming and the abilities that it has. I don't know if I've used it before. Would I? Yes, I do enjoy it. The art definitely gives off some good inspiration. Yeah. And of course...
For those of you that don't know what the nightmare looks like, it's a flaming horse.
Yes. Black ashen skin, fiery mane.
Think Ponyta from Pokemon, but evil. If you're familiar with Pokemon. I don't know. I'm familiar with Pokemon.
He is the Pokemon nerd between the two of us. I know nothing about Pokemon.
Even then, I only watched the Pokemon anime. I never really played the card game or any of the video games just because it wasn't something that I had access to.
Well, that's more than me.
Yeah. But yeah, Nightmare's cool. I think I would use it. I'm trying to imagine what kind of... I guess since it's a fiend, it could be used as a minion enemy. Like the guard dogs, horses of some Archduke of the Hells or something like that. Seems like it would be a good option for that sort of thing.
I mean, it does have two points here underneath the little flavor text that it gives. One is Dreadsteed, which says that it can be summoned from the lower planes, but unless a worthy sacrifice is offered to it, as food upon its arrival, the nightmare displays no special loyalty to the creature it serves. So,
neither do I. If I'm summoned from the lower planes and nobody offers me food, I don't have any loyalty to them.
See, this is why I always provide a little snack bowl whenever I have anybody come over. It's just free pickings. That way I'm not, slain in my sleep, shall we say. So, I mean, that one little blurb there at the end of the Dreadsteed flavor text does give you some inspiration of how you could potentially use it. The second one here on how to create a nightmare says that they don't appear naturally in the multiverse. They must be created from Pegasi. The ritual that creates a nightmare requires the torturous removal of a Pegasus's wings, driving that noble creature to evil as it is transformed by dark magic. So, depending on the campaign setting, I could very easily find a way to use those two traits to turn this into something very useful.
You know what? I kind of draw the line at animal cruelty and torture.
Yeah.
And I know some people would think like, oh, it's a pig, it's a fantasy creature, whatever. No, it's still an animal.
I mean,
I'm all for killing players. Torturing players, but animals, no.
No idea on how you would potentially want to change this if you were to use it. I mean, we talked a little bit earlier about, would you use it in its current form? Would you make changes? Add abilities?
Yeah.
If you were to buff this up, what kind of change would you wait?
I probably would change its armor class first of all. 13 is a little low.
It is a smidge low.
I like when monsters have a nice round number, like 15 or something like it. I don't know if you have this thing, but I like things when they're in increments of 5 or 2.
I use the same measurement when I'm adjusting the volume of my car speakers.
Yeah.
I always have it set to 17, usually as base, but if I'm trying to adjust it down, I have to go to 15 or I have to go to 12. I can't go anywhere in between. If I go up, I have to go to either 22 and then go 22 back down from 20. Go up by 5, down by 2. It's my OCD.
I don't have intense OCD like that.
See, that's
not saying that that's intense, but
it's not that bad. But
I would totally buff this thing's AC to maybe 15 at minimum
for a higher level setting.
For a higher level setting, probably increase its hit points a little bit. Make it a nice round.
I mean, if you buff it up 1, that's
69.
69 hit points.
Yeah, 69.
Oh god. I'm sorry we're so cringe.
Yeah, it's fine.
Yeah,
it's fine.
It's fine.
We're just the average D&D player.
Don't judge us too badly.
I think its speed is fine where it is.
Oh yeah, it's very fast.
Strength, dex, and con are all good. What was its charisma again?
15, so it's a +2 modifier.
That makes sense. It's a fiend.
Yes,
it needs to intimidate things.
I feel like in terms of what I would do, I really liked your idea about incorporating the hurl through the hells as some form of an action that it can do to enemies.
Yeah,
forcing a save upon them. The other thing I like is that
base DC of 16 or 17 to escape that. Probably probably 6. Yeah, I don't know if it's a mid-level party 6 or 7. I'd probably buff that DC to 16 maybe. But if this is a theoretical,
it depends on. I mean, tailor things to your party as you will. I'd also probably add, just because I feel like stuff like this makes it a little bit more interesting for combat mechanics. But I mean, if it has immunity to fire and it's got a flaming mane and hooves and tail, I feel like if you take fire damage, if you hit it, that would be something interesting to incorporate as well.
Bleeds fire.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah. Does it get 1 attack or 2?
This only gets 1 attack. So you get either your hooves or your ethereal stride action in the base stat block, of course. If we are talking about buffing this up for a higher level party, you can throw in a multi-attack feature.
If I wanted to beef this up, I'd give it multi-attack, but I'd probably also give it the charge thing.
Oh,
charge or trample or whatever.
That does make sense as well.
Because there's some animals that have that kind of mechanic on them.
I think Minotaurs have those, don't they?
Minotaur has a charge thing. Mammoth has a trample thing. But if it moves a certain number of feet, and it has the move speed, if it moves a certain number of feet or something, it deals extra damage. But that would take up like its whole action rather than using its multi-attack for like 2 hoof attacks or something.
Yeah, there's a number of ways you can tweak it a little bit to make it a little bit more interesting for some higher level groups looking for a challenge, or if you just want to, be cruel, as Austin and I like to be with our players.
Yep. I like it. I'd use it. Not in this campaign that I'm currently in the middle of, but I'd use it.
Yeah, I don't know if I have a spot for it in the current campaigns that I'm running. It would be very difficult to find a slot just because my world is so specific.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, that's all we got for the nightmare. So I think should we move on to the topic of the day, Jack?
Oh boy, we get to bring out a roll table.
Yeah.
You want to do a random number generator for us? I'll pull up the topics here. We can go from there. We need 1 through 50 on our number generator.
Jack and I came up with 50 random topics.
Oh, yes.
And
50.
once we exhaust all 50 of those, we're going to start taking suggestions.
You guys have 50 episodes to come up with some ideas.
Yeah. We'll make an official poll or something like that. Suggestion page or something that people
we'll work
can
it out.
Yeah.
Wherever this is posted, there will eventually be links.
Okay. I've generated a number.
All right. What is that number?
It's 15.
15. This is somewhat fitting considering the creature that we were just discussing. Nightmare, as I was saying, is a neutral evil creature. Our topic here for number... is it number 15, correct?
15, yeah.
15. Our topic here, players that want to be evil aligned.
Ooh.
This is one that I have thoughts on, but you're oohing, so I'm very curious to know what you're thinking, Austin.
If you play evil characters, make sure you're doing it right, because there's some types of evil that are truly unacceptable, but there are other kinds of evil that it's just like, oh yeah.
That's a good spicy meatball.
Yeah, exactly.
And I've just lost our entire Italian audience.
Yeah.
So players that want to be evil aligned, you're talking about ways that you could play it wrong.
First of all, if we're talking about evil, please don't, if you want to play an evil character, please don't make that character just like intrinsically bad as like in racism or misogyny or homophobia or anything like that, because that is one thing I've seen on the internet is people like, I want to play an evilly aligned character that hates this particular race or something like that, and that's just like something that's not fun.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
You can play an evilly aligned character. I think we have another topic that we're going to discuss later about why the alignment chart is kind of meh, but
yeah.
I've always associated evil alignment as being like self-serving, self-indulgent, not really caring more about the individual rather than the group. So
the selfish bastard, if you will.
Yeah, kind of. So there's like, I think you can have evil aligned characters that are idealists, as in like they have an idea of how things should be, but it doesn't necessarily like conform with society's morals within your game. You can have characters that are like, you could have a necromancer wizard or something like that, and their whole thing is just like, well, I want to create a personal army of the dead or something. I want to gain power so I can bring it down upon those who have wronged me or something like that. And like that's the other thing too, is like when like it's the same principle as like when you're writing a villain for a villain NPC. If you're a DM, is like you want to make that villain compelling. So when you're playing a character that's evil, you want to make sure that like there's certain elements in there, like tragedy. Tragedy makes a great villain usually. So you need
the evil side, that you need them to think that they are the hero of their own story.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the big thing. Is like, if you're gonna play an evil character, don't
be a dick.
Yeah, don't be a dick. Just make them completely confident in their own decisions, and don't have them just be chaotic evil for chaotic evil's sake.
I mean, they don't have to be entirely sure of themselves. You know, you can always play with the one that's constantly questioning the morality of their choices and what they're doing. I think that certainly makes for a very interesting take on things. Just so long as, like you said earlier, you're not being ridiculously over-the-top, cartoonishly horrible, terrible, just a sick, twisted son of a gun.
Yeah. This is another topic. People that treat D&D almost like it has an autosave feature sometimes, and it doesn't. Because, like, people would be like, this is a game with no consequences. I'll go and, like, murder the shopkeep because I can. And it's just like, no, don't do that.
I've had players do things like that before. You've been witness to some of them.
I've been one of them.
Maybe once.
Yeah, I've done that once, and I regretted it, but I was like... Because in that moment, I was like, this is the right thing to do, right? We're getting rid of this... We're murder hoboing this one guy for the sake of plot progression, right?
Oh, goodness.
It's just like, oh boy.
Murder hobos are a topic for another day. We do have a specific conversation or two in mind about those. But for evilly aligned players, I feel like there is a smart way to do it, and then there's the easy and I think short-sighted way of doing it, where any choice that comes across your way for the short-sighted view, you choose the quote-unquote bad option. You always go dark, no matter what, not putting any thought into it. Just because the choice is thrown your way, you choose to go dark.
Yeah, like the dialogue options you get in some RPG video games or something like that. And then
You've chosen dark side.
Like, because sometimes it'll be like, here's the one that, like, clearly is like, here's like the one that'll clearly be like, this is what the nice person would say, and like in order to progress the plot. And then you have the one that's like, this could go either way, and depending on the person I'm interacting with and their demeanor. And then there's the one that's clearly like, I'm gonna be a dick.
Yes. Would you like to steal the candy from the baby, or would you like to try to give the baby a nice little bonnet to protect its head? Yeah. Or do you want to, say, hey, nice baby? Not necessarily evil, good, bad. I thought it was, but
I don't know. Like, here's an example, I think, of like a good player character option is like somebody who has been an outcast for like as part of their background. So like, I don't know if you want to think about it mechanically, like give them like the hermit background or the urchin background or something, or even Outlander too, if you really want to. Like a group that has kind of been like part of a group that has kind of been outcast or is on like the lowest level. Because I think another thing that happens with a lot of villains is like, or people that think, defining villain is hard now, because like there's a lot of shows and like movies and things where it's like you watch the villain and it's just like, oh, this guy has kind of just been like shit on like a lot.
Yeah, I mean, you don't necessarily have to go for the tragic outcast, sort of trope. One idea that I've always liked is the one that's just so focused on what they want. And it's not necessarily a bad thing that they're trying to do. It's very much a Machiavellian, the ends justify the means kind of character.
Right.
Something along the lines, harkening back to what you're saying about a necromantic wizard, somebody that just really doesn't want to die. And finding a way for them to stay alive. They may break a few eggs to get there, but, they're not actively trying to go out and murder people by the droves. They just, wizard there, warlock there, priest there, whoever gets in their way, they may have to face down.
And I think we're talking about villains in general now, but when a player wants to be evil aligned, I think the same thing is like applicable.
Well, yeah.
Because and like That's not to say that like a player character that is evil is going to end up being the antagonist or something like that. It's more like, what you were saying is like they need to have a goal, and they need to think that the ends justify the means rather than just doing just the bad thing for the bad thing's sake.
Yeah, and they don't even need to be, always sure that what they're doing is right. I love when players have that inflection on their actions and think, is what I'm doing, the right choice? Is it the good decision? Is it something that is going to come back to haunt me? What are the consequences? I love the inner dialogue. It's so much fun.
Yeah.
And like what I was saying about, a school of necromancy wizard, easily a character in 5th edition of Dungeons and Dragons. If their end goal as a character is to, just simply to not die, there's a number of ways that they can go about it while not being a dick to completely throw off the party, getting the party to join in on their hijinks.
Is just like an evil character joining an adventuring group. They need to like believe that the adventuring group is going to be like, a means to their end. They have to think that like that group aligns with like the goal or whatever. So that's a little harder to incorporate if, your adventuring party is just like, we're a ragtag bunch of mercenaries taking on adventuring work and all that. And just going around the countryside, slaying random monsters for coin. So it's a little harder to incorporate there. But if it's like, you plant the seed of like, the party should go after this, and then that is like something in line with like something the evil character wants, then they'd be like, oh, maybe this isn't a waste of time. And another thing is like, when you're playing an evil character, you can have your goals, and they may not necessarily align with the party, but like do the things to achieve your goals like sneakily. Don't necessarily like sabotage your party.
I would say that the big thing is, don't sabotage. Again, big rule here, I think, is the big consensus is just don't be a dick.
Yeah.
But don't purposefully sabotage the party in a way that is going to, cause big issues, throw a wrench in the plan, take, a bunch of time and energy and devote it towards something that's ultimately not going to be well taken by not necessarily the players, not by the characters, but the players. Mm-hmm. You don't want to completely turn the situation into you versus them. That's not going to end well for anybody.
Or if you do want to do that, make it like a meaningful moment.
Yes.
Rather than just like throwing it away on a whim.
Yeah.
Like, if you make it about like, oh, you guys found a cursed powerful item or something like that, and like you're deciding what to do with it, don't be like, I stabbed the other dude to get that. I stabbed the paladin to take back the cursed item and disappear into the night. Don't do that.
I mean, I think one of the, just reminding me off of that, one of the best sort of evil player characters that immediately comes to mind, Archon the Cruel, stealing the hand of Vecna.
Yeah.
From the...
That's from CR, right?
Yes, Critical Role. Yes.
Good old Joe Manganiello.
Oh, yes.
That
beautiful man.
D&D jock, man.
Oh, yes.
But yeah, totally. Obviously a very evil line character. Had a different evil master, but ultimately it was like another thing of like the enemy of my enemy is my friend.
Indeed.
Sort of thing. So it's like, that's another philosophy that I think evil line players should maybe consider, is just like, maybe they have a specific enemy, and maybe your goals don't necessarily align with the party's, but that enemy that you have is also their enemy. So therefore, you have a common interest. You have a common interest in like defeating this person or something, but you may not have like the same end goal, the same result in mind.
And I feel like that's really good for role play moments as well. You get the potential, character conflict between those that have this great and noble goal versus
like,
the man that's just here because you're an easier way to get what he wants without, you two groups having to come into blows with each other.
And like, I think another thing is like the easiest way to play an evil character, and I kind of like the easiest way to play an evil character is to just choose Warlock. But
I mean, that's a stereotype there.
I know that's a stereotype about D&D and all that. That warlocks have to be evil, and that's not necessarily the case. But like, there are some patrons that are like probably not the most savory good guys, and like obviously they want something, and they will give power to whoever gets that thing for them. So then the warlock is the easiest sort of thing, and that can also end up making a good villain later, not necessarily out of the player, but out of the player's patron.
Yes. I think warlock is a bit of a stereotype that everybody knows, but I mean, if you think of like vengeance or oathbreaker paladin, or like a circle of the spores druid, or some form of like a war cleric or something, or a law and order cleric, something along those lines could also very easily work. A rogue. You can take something from any class and find a way to turn it dark. You don't have to go warlock. Of course, the patron idea provides a lot of very interesting...
There's a lot of already baked into the class roleplay opportunity, storytelling opportunity there.
But I mean, if you think of Archon the Cruel, again, Paladin of Tiamat. Not necessarily a warlock.
Paladin of Tiamat the dragon, not Tiamat my cat.
Yes, not a patron of the Paladin of the cat.
Paladin of the cat.
Can
you imagine a paladin that
Oath of the Kitty?
Oath of the Kitty? Oh my god, that'd be funny.
Okay, do you guys want to hear a little bit of a detour now?
Sure.
Should I share this on episode 1?
Sure.
This is one of my better stories. Back in my day. So we're talking
3 years ago.
No, this is like 6 years. I feel maybe 7. This is a while back. This is when I first started doing things.
Man, you're dating yourself, Jack.
I mean, yeah.
Okay.
Back when I was first doing D&D things, we had a small group, and one of our players was a dwarf barbarian. He had used intelligence as his dump stat. So he was dumb as the rocks he was mining, and he wanted desperately for his character to get a pet cat. Or excuse me, not a pet cat. He wanted a pet bunny. Yes, he wanted a pet bunny. And we had gone and, dealt with these cultists in town. We go back and go up to the general store, not even like a pet shop, but just a general store. And he walks up with a big bag of gold, drops it on the counter and says, "I want bunny." And the guy's like, "I'm sorry, we don't have any rabbits." He pushes it forward across the counter, pulls up an axe, rolls intimidation, goes, "I want bunny." Think of it like Mickey Rourke's character from Iron Man 2, "I want Burt." It was basically that, but "I want bunny." And with the intimidation roll, the guy runs to the back, comes back with a white cat with like bunny ears, like scotch taped onto the head. So it's a cat bunny. And he named the bunny cat Chief Beef. He named the animal Chief Beef and took him with us on our adventures with this little tiny, rope leash. And so next session, we were going out, we were traveling to the next town, and we get happened upon by, marauders on the road, as you do. And while we were in combat, he was very adamant. He's like, "I want Chief Beef to attack." And our DM was like, "Well, it's a cat. It has a hit point of 1, an AC of like 10 or something like that.
Yeah.
And it does 1 damage if it hits. So if it crits, it does 2 damage. And he's like, "Okay." The fight goes on. Eventually, we get to the big boss guy. And our dwarf barbarian goes, "If he final kills the boss, can he ascend into godhood?" And our DM was so, I don't know if he was struck by the sheer magnitude of what he was, proposed, or if he was just so sure that it wouldn't happen. He said, "Sure, if Chief Beef gets the final hit, He ascends to godhood. Well, lo and behold, boss gets whittled down to just, single-digit hit points.
Uh-huh.
Barbarian goes, takes his turn, whittles him down to 2 HP. Cat takes its turn, gets the crit for the last 2 HP, and there we all are, our player character standing on the road as the clouds part, a beam of light strikes the cat, and it rises up and ascends into the clouds as Chief Beef, god of all things. And it was glorious, and it was such a meme that in the next campaign that we did, because that one sort of fizzled out with, people losing time. The next one that we did, I played a Warforged Paladin of, Oath
Oath of Chief Beef?
Yeah, Oath of Chief Beef. I was a Warforged Paladin of Chief Beef, the cat bunny. Let me tell you, that was an experience. Who do you worship, great warrior? I am Glaive. I worship Chief Beef. Do you want to know how many times people ask me if I worship, a patron god of the dwarves or the minotaurs? And I had to say, no, it's a cat bunny. It's a cat with bunny ears on its head. So that is the story of Chief Beef, everyone. I hope you enjoyed my ramble.
How many nickels would you have if that question was asked of your character, though?
In-game? If I remember correctly, 3.
You'd have 3 nickels?
I'd have 3 nickels. Not that much.
That's 15 cents.
Yeah, it's 15. I mean, if we're talking penny candies, that's a couple 15 candies. Sure, I'll take it.
Sure.
I mean, I don't think a Warforged needs to, eat candy, but there he was.
Lo and behold.
Yes.
Well, Chief Beef is not an evilly aligned thing, but...
No, but I mean, could you imagine? I mean, it would be funny if it was like Chief Beef, the cat bunny, but the bunny part modeled after the White Rabbit from Monty Python and the Holy Grail. The bunny that massacres everything it comes across. No. That would be funny.
Yeah.
I would easily be a paladin of that White Rabbit.
The murderous White Rabbit. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Bunnies are evil. That's the conclusion you can draw from this. Is bunnies are evil. They bestow great magical power upon whoever worships them. If you're playing an evil character, you have to worship a bunny. That's it.
Throw it out there as an option. You don't have to. But
yeah, you don't have to.
If you do, let us know. I want to know what the name of that bunny deity is. I want to know what specific domain he rules over or she rules over. I don't know. All inclusive here.
This also means if you're a herringon, you're now intrinsically evil.
I always forget that they're a race in D&D now.
Yeah, they added them in Witchlight. And I think that was kind of funny. I was like, cool, rabbit folk. Interesting.
Peter Cottontail.
Yep.
I like it.
Yeah. But yeah.
Anything else we want to talk about for Evil Aligned? I know I went on a big detour with my Chief Beef story.
I know, but Chief Beef is a good story.
I love Chief Beef.
Chief Beef is a good story.
Feel free to use Chief Beef in your own campaigns.
Yes.
Petition your DM to allow you to follow in their footsteps.
Yeah. I think all we said about Evil Aligned characters is pretty solid.
Don't be a dick. Find a way to make it interesting.
Don't be a
Plenty
dick.
Of options.
Don't sabotage your party. If you want your character to be evil, think of them as a self-serving individual that, has a goal in mind or a common enemy with the group. So therefore, at least the interest aligns and they have a reason to be a part of the story.
It's also fun to consider, you don't have to be evil all the way throughout. You can... Through the power of friendship, you too can become good aligned.
And all we've said thus far, I think that's probably a wrap.
I think so.
For episode 1, yeah.
Episode 1.
Yeah,
okay.
We're gonna talk more about some other stuff in future episodes.
Oh yes. Do we want to give a little teaser? We're gonna do teasers on this. We're gonna tell them what episode 2 is gonna be about.
We have a monster list.
We do have.
We have a list of.
We have it selected, so we could let them know.
Yeah. So if you want to, next episode, we are going to review the Pit Fiend. So.
Dun, dun, dun.
Yeah. That's going to be at the top of the episode, and we'll see you guys there.
We'll see you when we see you.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Drink